Hey my squids, it is your favorite cephalopod, the prize-winning squid, back with a brand new video. If you guys are new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. If you don't know about me, I am an intermediate artist who likes to do videos with speed paints and art commentary and also sometimes gear reviews on this channel. So today we are actually going to be talking about why I think art tutorials are handicapping you and why I think we need to get back to lessons and studies more than art tutorials. And alongside that, the speed paint will be of my main character, Leira Orta, who is the main character of my webcomic, Taliah, which you can read on globalcomics.com, Webtoons, and my website, artbytheprizewinningsquid.com. So I won't keep you guys, let's get right into the speed paint and we'll get right into the discussion. So, as the speed paint is now up on the screen, let's talk about why I think art tutorials are handicapping you and what I'm actually meaning when I say that. So, we all know that art tutorials are usually in the form of YouTube shorts or reels or something on TikTok that is just short form. It's showing you something very specific. And I think that that has kind of become the norm and the standard. And so I want to break down what I mean by like lessons, tutorials, and studies. So a lesson would be something, for instance, if you're taking a painting class and they're going to show you how to paint a portrait. During the painting aspects and during the lesson aspects, however long it might be, they'll show you things like composition, they'll show you things like values, so you'll understand what light and shadow actually are, that they're values across the entire portrait and across the entire picture, and it's not just lighting and shadows or anything like that. So they'll go through that whole process, right? And then by the end of it, hopefully that what you've gathered from it is that you can do this with another portrait or maybe even another picture. You can take these same ideas and you can apply them to something completely different because they've kind of explained why these things work the way they do. And then in the terms of a study would then take what you've done with the lesson, what you've gone through, and maybe you want to explore some other things. Maybe now that you know how values work on an image or a painting or whatever, you want to explore different types of paintings. Maybe you were doing watercolor before and now you want to do oil painting, or you want to play with gouache or something like that. So you would then do studies. You would sit around and you would kind of like explore with that tool set, but you would use a lot of the knowledge that you had before. And then an art tutorial would be something super specific. So using the traditional paint idea, it would be, I need an off-white. So how would I mix my paints together to get a nice off-white color? And then somebody would show you, this is how you would do it. Now, they wouldn't tell you, this is how you mix paints, because you already know how to do that. They wouldn't tell you, this is what you have to do to get values, because you've already done all of that. They're showing you something super specific that you can just do that quick, and then you can apply it to the thing that you're actually working on. The problem is that we are not seeing a lot of longer form content in terms of lessons. We're not seeing a lot of studies. And I'm noticing, because I'm in several different art discords, I'm noticing that a lot of both younger artists, but people who are, new to art or coming back to art. Before I said that I kind of walked away for 20 years from art and then came back to it. So there's a lot of things that I had to relearn as well. But I'm seeing that a lot of people are jumping on tutorials and they're going straight to tutorials. The problem is that these tutorials are not actually expanding on the knowledge base. They'll show you something specific and you won't know that you can take that and you can apply it somewhere else. And so I'm seeing that in a lot of the younger artists and people coming back. And I'll point them to something, for instance, if they were interested in gradient mapping. There was a wonderful Instagram reel that I saw where it was somebody saying, hey, this is how Riot and Blizzard artists do a lot of their magic and their energy effects. They use a lot of gradient mapping. And I became really interested in that. But with gradient mapping, it's all about values. It's all about assigning colors to different values and then being able to use different layers to create this technique and make it look really good. But the problem is that if you just take that simple tutorial, you won't be able to expand on that because you won't know how gradient mapping really works. So I actually had to go watch a longer form video that it very, very precisely explained how gradient mapping worked. It was essentially a lesson. And because of that, I was then starting to use gradient mapping in a lot of my my values. So a lot of my shadows and my lights, I would use gradient mapping for, and they were coming out and they were looking really, really good. The first drawing of Leira in this video, I actually used gradient mapping for a lot of the stuff. And so because I understood how gradient mapping worked, I could then apply it to other things. I could use it for energy and magic effects, or I could use it for things on a building, or there was just different things I could then play with. So then I started doing studies of gradient mapping to figure out what else did I want to apply this to. But if I had just watched that one short video, I would have only thought, oh, okay, this is all you can really use it for. Instead, actually watching, I think it was like an hour and a half long video about gradient mapping and really just like messing with it and dialing in while I was sitting there watching this video, I was able to better understand how gradient mapping works. And I'm not saying that you can't take a short term or short content and expand on it and find other resources. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that is now becoming one of the primary resources for artists to get information. And I'm seeing it a lot in when somebody's coming in and they don't precisely understand, well, why would I worry about if I add reds or blue tones to skin to make it look a certain way, or why am I not using, you know, this color or this color? Because they don't really understand. They've seen a short video that's like, oh, just add red to the cheeks, but you don't always just add red to the cheeks. You know, for darker skin tones, you actually don't add brighter colors, you add darker colors because of the way that light works in darker skin tones. But people, they'll look at these videos and they won't actually study how light affects skin and how different light applies to different skin tones. And so you'll get some of that blowback where people will say, well, I can't insert a certain character type because they think it's impossible, because the information that they have was in these shorter videos or from people who really didn't expand on how you can affect different skin tones or even different cloth or metal or anything else. There was a point in time where I watched a short tutorial on how do you light metal, and they were only using gold. And come to find out, to make metal, to make silvers and darker colors look really good, you use a lot of purples, greens, and browns to make it look really, really good, really shiny and give it that texture. And if I hadn't watched a Blizzard artist actually sitting there and explaining the process and why he was doing a lot of the things he was, I wouldn't have had any of that information, because that wasn't in a short video, you know, short content. And one of the issues, you know, besides losing a lot of that content when you look at shorter videos, not getting a lot of what the tutorial is trying to explain and what longer form videos and lessons and studies can really help you understand, there are people who are bad actors, and you'll see this a lot on TikTok. In art talk communities, there are people who are known to just disseminate really bad information when it comes to certain types of art or certain art processes. And I don't know if it's because they have this idea that creative jobs are very, very limited. If somebody else gets a job, then that means that's not a job for me. But you can be a creative and have a billion different types of jobs and different careers. You know, it's not just character design, it's not just drawing UI elements, there's a lot of other career types that involve very creative work and being an artist. And so I don't know if some of these people are kind of putting this fake information out there just so they can kind of throw people off the scent and not being hireable in the future. But I have seen that there are a lot of bad actors, or you know, we've had artists who will do art reviews on other people's artists and critiques on other people's art, and what ends up showing is that they don't have the knowledge base that they honestly should if they're coming to this level to critique other people's art. That happens a lot on TikTok as well. I've seen it on YouTube, and of course there's been scandals in recent years of certain people who did certain things and had certain comments, and it shows that they didn't know the breadth of knowledge of art that they think that they did. And so it feels more because, you know, younger generations, social media is 100% what they grew up on. It's always been there. I come from a generation where the majority of my life, until maybe the last 15, 20-ish years, we didn't have social media, and if we did, it was super limited. So we didn't have that people just coming in with just all kinds of different information. A lot of my art information came from actual artists that I could physically verify. Oh yeah, you're a professional. I've seen your work. I've played the games you've made. I've, this, that, and the other thing. Or art teachers or other, subject matter that kind of showed me, oh, this is how you want to do something, or this is how you want to explore and do these types of studies. And maybe you need to work on, gestures and poses and work on your anatomy a little bit and give you ideas and elements that would help with that. But now you're seeing nothing but the social media impact of, here's some quick videos to show you exactly how to do this very specific thing that you want to do, but you won't be able to take this information and use it on anything else that you do. And we're seeing a lot of that now. So we're seeing a lot of people who don't have the exploration of sitting down and playing with anatomy for 7 straight months to make sure that they get it correct. We're seeing a lot of people just try to piece things and piecemeal things together. And I was guilty of that as well. Like, there wasn't a lot of resources that I was finding when I came back to art. And now I'm having to do a lot of the studies, a lot of the practice, a lot of the lessons. I'm taking these things and I'm realizing, oh, you guys are opening up how I could have approached different things, but I had looked at a tutorial. So this is coming from a place of, hey, I'm also at fault for these very things. This isn't just pointing a finger. But beyond that, I think that it's imperative for us as artists to sit down and study our craft and not just look for the quick fix, because a lot of what makes art good is showing that you have spent the time to actually do the thing, to do the process, to figure out how that process really works. And I think that is going to be the most important thing just going forward, mostly because when you look at the proliferation of the A word, and you see other kind of things that people are doing and saying when it comes to art and human creativity, we realize now that taking out the human element and taking out the practice is taking out not just the soul, but taking out the actual refinement that you see. A lot of people don't have the ability, when they use some of these other tools that are not made for humans to just do what they do. We're saying that a lot of people don't know how to fix certain aspects of the things that have been spit out, and they don't have the knowledge base. So we're now seeing that also disappear. And I feel like the short form videos were a step towards that. Not saying that art tutorials are bad or even short form videos are bad. It's all great if we know how to use it and we know what we're looking for. So I think overall we do need to go back to taking lessons. I know not everybody can go to in-person lessons. There's going to be stuff that's online. Lots of great creators create courses. A lot of professionals create courses that I think we should all kind of take. And this isn't sponsored or anything, so I'm not naming names and I'm not going to link anybody in the description or anything. But there are a lot of professionals out there that I think if we took a course, we got actual critiques from some people at this level, that it would help us become better artists. And then just doing studies on our own, grabbing a sketchbook and just going to town and doing as many studies as you can to make sure that you're getting the best art out of yourself that you really want to put out in the world. And then sometimes there's people who they want to objectively make bad art, and that's actually a thing, and it's fun when that's something you actually want to do. So I can't blame anybody for also doing that and taking that, taking that path when it comes to their art. I'm not telling you what to do with your art. I'm just saying, hey, if you want to improve, here's some really good ways to do it. And here's some really good things that you can take that won't shortcut you in the future. Because if you take too many shortcuts, you're going to end up having to take a massively long way further down the line, and it's going to be a lot less fun when that happens, as opposed to getting a lot of that information up front and knowing how that information kind of works. With that said, I really do appreciate everybody coming in. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. Like I said on my previous video, I am going to try to get new videos out on the last Friday and the first Friday of every month, meaning that 2 Fridays during the month there won't be videos, but we should have 2 almost back to back. And there's going to be some other stuff coming down the pipeline, because I do want to go over some of my comic book stuff and kind of show you guys some of the stuff that I've been working on overall. You know, I've been working on this webcomic now for going on almost 6 years from the moment that I had the idea to actually putting it out in the world. Now I only release it on the last Friday of every month, which has freed me up to do other things like commissions or to do other exploratory things, studies, take lessons, and create more pages. I've been finding that I've had a lot more of the fire to create a lot more pages in that month than I previously was creating. I just released 5 new pages the other day, so I wasn't releasing that before on my old schedule. So yeah, it's, you know, I have a lot of stuff that I want to bring to this channel and a lot of things that I kind of want to talk to you guys about and show you guys overall. But with all of that said, I really appreciate you guys coming, checking me out, checking out anything that I do on this channel or anything I do on Global Comics, Webtoons, my website, artbytheprizewinningsquid.com, or anywhere else that I might be, whether it's Instagram, Blue Sky, or, YouTube, obviously. So, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Guys, stay safe. Make sure that you are putting as much human-created goodness into this world as possible. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.